it's important to keep scraps of your marker paper handy, because I have this idea that it might be good to put this in as a dark shape as well, this side of the fireplace. So I'm going to render that on a piece of a scrap piece of paper and see if that is a good or bad idea, what it will do. And I'm judging by what it will do to my sofa. I think I like that, so I'm going to put that in. The other thing I'm questioning is, and I won't put it all the way down, I'll just put it partially. The other thing I'm questioning is whether these fragments of wall might look good out here as well. Now, why I thought to think that, I don't know, but I think maybe that will help to frame the drawing. Now, this is where having that piece of card would have been a good thing to do, to use it, because I've gone out of my lines. But then you have your white pencil that you can use as well. Your white pen will clean that up. Now my light looks as if it's floating on the ceiling, so I need to indicate that gable a little bit. So I'm using my, what would be your 1, just to wet the paper, and then I'll use my 3 to show a little bit of value here. But the problem is always that you have to deal with shape now. But with marker paper you can kind of blend that in, so it's not a big deal. And on the other side, maybe don't go quite so dark. So one side is more indicative than the other. The other thing I was wondering is if it wouldn't be a good idea to break this up with a little bit of white. Might be interesting to show a bit of that pattern as if it had a shiny thread as part of it. And you wouldn't do a lot, you just do an indication. That's always the rule. You don't have to fill everything in. You just do enough to indicate. And you're just going back and again looking to see if you can you need to open things up a little bit if they're not too dark. But there was absolutely no need to define everything in that cabinet. And there's no need to define everything over there. The focus is here, so you put your detail and most of your work here on this wall. Remember to make a black border all the way around your drawing. So in the end, having that goal of this being my focus and what I want everyone to see first, what I had to do was downplay everything else. Essentially, I ended up putting a number 3 marker over that whole wall, or most of it. I left some white too, because there's white here. This would have looked cut out and stuck down if I didn't have some white here. Now, that's the common element. Those little bits of white are common to everything. Otherwise, everything would look cut out and stuck down. And I relied completely on my line work to convey what's going on in here, not rendering at all, just the line work. And that's true of over here as well. Especially in the fireplace, I just used the 3 value for that whole thing and left the white here on the mirror so that the whole wall doesn't look cut out and stuck down. There's little bits of white here and there. Would have looked much better if I'd made everything straight with the piece of card that I was talking about, laying it down and rendering with the piece of card. But I did need something to frame it, so I used these dark parts to frame it, and you can see that it would have maybe been too much contrast just in this one area if I had not had something outside to pull it together. But even so, it still works. This was just a parting thought. How would that look? Just so that you would be confident to experiment as well. I don't think it harms it, but I don't think it's necessary either. This is still the focus. And you can always go with your, I didn't like what was going on up here, so I used my white pencil, my white Prismacolor. This is the one that you had to purchase separately to kind of take that away. I was regretting having put that in at all. I also strengthened the outline here of my wall, and so it took the focus away from that messy part that I don't really like. And you can also use it to, you know, soften areas that are in the light so they're not all the same value. If you weren't able to achieve that, you can go back and open places up. That's what it's called, opening places up. So I'm going to open up this a little bit so that it shows a little bit the light hitting down the center of it. It also makes it a little yellow, so you got to be a little careful. Don't overuse it. There, that might open that up a little bit, open this up a little bit. And so, but not too much fussing, but any places that need cleaning up or fixing up or lightening up, you can go in with this really soft pencil. If the pencil's too hard, it won't work. So you do have to. The Prismacolor is really the best one. That might be nice to open up that a little bit. So you're always looking for gradual values. If you weren't able to make those from dark to light and dark to light, then this white pencil might help you with that as well. On my person, I put her in one solid dark, so I can open up her color a little bit as well, so that her top planes are getting a little more light. Since I fully rendered the sofa, it's not a bad idea to show that she has a little bit of dimension also.